So, in my opinion, I think humour.
People laugh.
Yeah, that kind of humour.
Humour, I think there's humour that...
What is, in your opinion, the general idea of humour?
Let's talk about...
Det är det vi trying to say. I'm just talking about how when we build together.
You can take the mask off.
Oh. I'm sorry. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my show. How humor can bring people together. In recent years, humor has become an attractive object of study because of its role in society as a change maker for good. However, a considerable body of academics, practitioners and educationalists reveal how controversial humor can be. It can act as a social superglue, contributing to the individual's well-being and at the same time being a dangerous social weapon by perpetrating social harm. Aristotle reckoned that laugh led to scorn, and Plato and Hobbes, namely that we always laughing at someone else's expenses. But must it? Here we're trying to understand how humor can be a universal tool that bring people together. Therefore, I have some fellows here to explain me how can I be a better humorist. Let's see.
Like a defence mechanism. I know a lot of people who use that, including myself. Like I speak from experience, like I'm not like trashing anybody out who uses it as a defence mechanism, but I feel like some people do use it like that, you know, like when I was bullied in school I used to just turn it into humour and into fun, and you know, that's how I think it can be used. But for the general, most speaking, humour is used to make people laugh, to cheer them up and make them smile.
Humour is something very subjective. It's something that it's not very concrete. Some people like this kind of humour, some other people like that kind of humour, and sometimes people have very strong opinions about humour they don't like.
A funny walk or a funny voice.
For me, I think there are two sides of humour. I think there's humour that's really relatable, that it makes it funny, and also something that's really absurd, something that's just so not relatable and just so odd that it makes the situation or the joke funny.
I think humour is just something that, for it to work, I think it has to make fun of something. It is less like intrusive to a certain group of people if the joke is about something that is widely known to be bad, something that most people agree it's bad. For example, jokes about politicians.
Well, the general idea of society is more of a way of entertaining. It's more of a way of release. So when you think about humor, you think about movies. You think about like comedians.
And I don't think it gets much deeper than that, if I'm honest.
The relief theory. The theory that explains that humor leads to laugh, and laugh relieves tension. I'm so relaxed. But what we really want to see is how humor works nowadays. Extending the relief theory, today the dominant theory is the incongruity theory, where comedians use a setup and a punchline. And basically the setup is the storytelling, you know, where you have the opportunity to tell something. Where the punchline is when you change the direction to something unexpected, creating open dialogues about hidden truths, taboos, the meaning of life, death, God's beliefs in general.
And you learn a lesson from that. You learn that, oh, actually that's horrible, or that's actually something important that shouldn't be laughed at, and the fact that everyone laughs at it sort of shines a light on society almost, because you realise, oh yeah, this is all accepted now and it shouldn't be. Or it can be another way that you laugh at something so silly, like it can raise awareness about something that happens in the world, and making a joke out of it is like, oh yeah, that's stupid, but that's such a silly thing that happens.
You can see when a marginalised group of people, when they become more kind of involved in society, and when the kind of the hatred and the mockery stops, is when stand-up comedy changes. Often, you know, it was very easy to make a joke about someone being gay, and that would be the joke. Whereas I think nowadays, you can't just make a joke about someone being gay. There has to be something more about it. You know, the aim could be a joke about a gay person, but the punchline can no longer be that they're gay. So that's where I think that's how we change humour.
So the humour that we had 20 years ago, it might not be acceptable nowadays because society is changing. You use humour in schools when you have pantomimes, for example. It's just comedy, but it has a message. It has some morality behind it that is trying to get you.
Yes, especially in theatre. I think don't they say, oh, the best way to teach kids is to make them laugh. If you can teach them whilst making them laugh, then they really take it all in. So definitely, for sure. I feel like Brecht is a really good one for this. Like he explores obviously like a lot of real world issues, but his plays are quite funny, and whenever I did them in college they were very, very fun to be a part of, you know, but really serious messages behind them.
We can see how successful comedians are and how they attract like such large portions of audience, and I think that's because people enjoy listening to comedians, successful comedians, because they talk a lot about political stuff and they expose a lot of these things going around, all these issues. And I think it's comedy, I think it's a great way to raise awareness and educate people, because what could be better than educating and making people laugh at the same time?
Humor is a social media to inform. You can educate people more than actually news or politician speeches. Because of the comedy and laugh, they can open dialogues. But what I'm really trying to understand here is, how can we use humor as a universal tool? And how can that bring people together?
Actually, it's we use comedy. Each of us, we use comedy as a way of survival. I use it personally. I use it in my non-verbal communication. I use it a lot to interact with people, because especially when you don't know a person, you try to read their behavior, and a very good way of doing that is by actions are delivered with some comedy, some kind of uplifting behavior that's not gonna tell to the other person, oh, this person is a threat. And that is for me, I know some other people maybe they don't use it. For me, there is a thing in between fight and flight, which is humor. That's how we deal with it all the time.
Absolutely. Literally, I just had a friend call me who was really upset, and my way to make her feel better was to make her laugh. So I'm making like a character voiceover reel at the moment, so I showed her that to make her laugh because I sound so ridiculous. So it definitely brings people together, and if you've got a friend that you can laugh with and truly laugh with, there's no better connection. So all my friends are quite funny people, because I find it funny. I find laughing, the best thing ever, the best medicine.
I think it's the easiest way to bring people together, through humour, and I think it is the easiest way because the fact of being relatable, everyone sort of finds it easy to laugh and to joke around with people, and that's what can bring people together.
For humor to work, you need to make fun of something. Something has to be like the target for any kind of joke, I think, that could tear people apart, like groups of people. For example, somebody says a joke and somebody else doesn't like it, then those two people, they're gonna be divided, and that's the opposite of bringing people together.
Yeah, I think laughter can bring people together. I think humour is a little bit different than laughter. I think if one person laughs, lots of people laugh, which is why a lot of TV shows have a laughter track or a live audience, because you're more likely to laugh at home if you can hear other people laughing. It's just how it works. I don't know how.
So what about racism, discrimination, LGBTQ community, and other communities that have always been discriminated and mocked by comedy? How can we empower them?
It raises awareness of things happening in the world, and that would definitely help out people that are marginalised in society, because the problem of people putting other people into categories, and to actually make people realise that everyone's together and should be as one, really. It's not something that's easily spoke about, so bringing it through humour is an easier way of making people aware of things. I definitely would find that more easy than just talking about it.
Comedians, they always try to raise awareness. They always try to make people laugh by raising political issues and certain situations that have been going through in the society for years. And I mean, it should definitely help, because when you make jokes about that involve marginalized individuals and communities and things like that, I mean, I'm assuming that you make jokes about the people in quotation marks harass these marginalized individuals. So if you make fun of the person that does the harm, then it can raise awareness because you're pointing it out, and at the same time you make people laugh. So I think that works.
You could use humor to approach a specific problem, and from that point then you can resolve it. And I think it's a good way of doing it. When we talk about dark humor, when we talk about humor that maybe lots of people will find maybe offensive, it's not trying to laugh at that specific matter. It's trying to aware that no matter what the situation is, it's okay to laugh at yourself.
I think there's a very thin line between we're empowered and we are offended. I think it's very easy to offend people with humour, and sometimes offence is really good. Sometimes you have to offend someone to make someone think about something, and sometimes you have to not offend them. It depends on your audience, who you're talking to, everything like that, because otherwise you do run the risk of just being a complete cock.
Well, yeah, because so I'm thinking about In the Heights at the moment, because that has a very strong pull towards the Latinx community. But any show that I've seen or movie that I've seen that's about a niche group of people that aren't, the masses, they have their own jokes, and they reclaim things that were used against them in a negative way.
You cannot laugh at other people's like whatever it is the person had, the physical appearance or the situation, if you cannot laugh at yourself first.
So if I laugh at myself first, then I can laugh about others. That's really interesting. So can I laugh about others now? No? Right, so now we need to know a joke that is universal, that informs, educates and empowers people. Can you actually tell me?
I don't know about a joke.
So I didn't have one.
I can't actually think of a joke.
It's a difficult one. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything.
We used to listen to politicians and laugh at comedians, but now we laugh at politicians and listen to comedians.
Laughs at politicians. Okay, thank you so much, and I hope you like it. and I hope you learned what I learned, that is like nothing apart from everything. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.
Glad you had fun watching How Humor Brings People Together show. Now sit tight, cause the next show is coming up of How the World Ends because Donald Trump is president again. Hope you laughed a lot, cause now you will cry. See you soon.